Well, in this video, it's not meant to be thorough, and no, I'm not a Christian myself. But in this video, what atheists get wrong about Christianity, and maybe religion in general. This is not meant to be thorough. It's not going to be in depth or any of that stuff, right? Well, I'm just going to discuss a few things, that atheists get wrong. Next, tomorrow will be the opposite, what Christians get wrong about atheists. But today, let's deal with that other one. I think the biggest one is, you'll hear some atheists say, well, Christians ignore the law. You don't believe they're still under the law and all this. And then they'll tell you, well, Jesus said not one tittle of the law would be changed. They'll say that, But the thing is, though, in John 19, and Jesus specifically says, until it is finished. And then here you got John 19:30. When Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. That's what he's talking about, when it is finished. Christians now, I'm not saying that, it's, you're doing away with all the Ten Commandments and stuff like that. This is mainly the ceremonial laws and things like that, the Sabbath. And then, of course, it's mentioned again in Romans. Paul states all this stuff, So if a Christian tells you, for example, eating shellfish and stuff like that, they can't eat what they want, and they can mention Peter, because you hear atheists say, well, according to Christianity, you're not allowed to eat shellfish. No, because I just told you, Jesus said, it is finished. And then in Paul, it's mentioned a few times. I'm sorry, not Paul. In Acts and Romans, these things are mentioned, there's that sheet of food where God says, you shall now call unclean what I have clean. He's telling you can now eat these things, pigs, shellfish, and stuff like that. So when an atheist says that, they don't really know what they're talking about. Sorry, but atheists don't. Now you will get Christians that will say, but that's the Old Testament. I'm not going to get into that. The reason why I already did a video on that. But that's the Old Testament. Man, that's nonsense. Because you're still under that punishment of death for all that other nonsense. If you're a Christian, if you believe that stuff, okay? Homosexuality, all these things that liberals, are okay with it. Conservative Christians are not. That's why the conservative Christians are more closer to their little book of fairy tales than liberals are. Of course, there's another one, Christians are hateful and mean-spirited. Yeah, that's true for some of them, just like for atheists. Sorry, but it is true for some. You go to church, for example, you'll see it. The more conservative ones, they'll tell you, well, we don't hate the sinner, we hate the sin. There's nowhere in the Bible where Jesus tells you to hate the sin and not the sinner. Okay, God's pretty clear in Psalms and all these others that he's angry with sinners, that he hates sinners. Okay, and it's just like that, okay? So obviously, that's not in there. Now, another one, oh man, see, I should definitely start writing these things out, right? I should. But, like I was saying in Psalms, it tells you, there's no hate the sin, love the sinner nonsense. That's just not in there. See, there are a lot of things that atheists do get wrong about Christianity. And I was thinking of some that were in my head, and some of them, of course, I forget. But, that's just how it is. But, there's things, I want to try to think about it. Let me just pause this video. Another thing you get from atheists, Jesus was a liberal. He was a hippie. Well, no, he was not. Okay? He was not a hippie. He's not a liberal. If you read this book carefully, you will notice that Jesus and Paul are pretty clear. If you do not work, you do not eat. When he fed the multitude, those were his disciples. And this is what I forgot, and now I just remember too. You hear people say, well, you can't have both justice, perfect justice, and mercy at the same time. And that is true. They contradict. You cannot have any mercy if you're going to have justice. You can't have any justice if you're going to have mercy. And that's true. This is what you're getting wrong about Christianity. God is only giving mercy, according to Christians, to people that believe in him. If you do not believe in him, you get what they consider justice. Apparently, burning in hell, being tortured forever simply for not believing, is justice to a Christian. That is what they consider justice. What this book considers justice. Liberals generally don't like that idea. I'm not liberal or conservative. I don't put myself in those boxes. That's basically it, about that, infinite mercy and justice. Christians only are supposedly the ones that get justice. Unless you're a Muslim, then of course they're the ones, if they believe correctly, may go to heaven. Catholics believe, well, if you follow these sacraments that aren't really mentioned in here, you can go to heaven. You might go to heaven. Have your sins forgiven by a priest. Catholics can tell you the same thing, make their religion seem just as right as any Protestant can, and as any Jehovah's Witness. But, I may say, atheists get wrong by Christianity, then I'm kind of saying things wrong with Christianity. Yeah, I get that. But, that's just how it is. Because there's more things wrong than right. Sorry, but it is. Because most of the time, most of the things that atheists do get wrong, let's face this fact, okay? And this is the sad fact. What atheists get right, where atheists get wrong, doesn't compare to what they get right. For example, the Bible being okay with rape and slavery. That's just two examples. And the treatment of women and foreigners. Read it. They'll tell you, that's going to be the other one. But, the God of the Jews would not be pro-Gentile. Okay, if you read the Old Testament, sorry, but it's not the same. That's another thing that atheists get wrong about Christianity, is they'll say, well, Islam and Christianity are the same. Well, if you read, I think it's 1st or 2nd John, it's very specific. Let me see if I can find the verse, and I'll get back to you. Well, it's either in 1st or 2nd John, or it's in Jude. But basically, it tells you that, it tells you about false prophets. And Muhammad kind of, according to Christianity, fulfills the idea of the false prophets. He'll deny Jesus' deity. He'll deny that Jesus is the Son of God, and that he came to forgive sins. And it's very specific in Jude and in the book of John, 1st John, 2nd John. You should read them. If you like to. I'm not going to go any further than this. There's so much more I could say, because I'm sure there are already videos on it, and I'm not the best source of this stuff, simply because, I'm just really don't feel like writing this stuff down and going through it. I probably should, but, let's face it. It's not like, it matters, right? It's fairy tales. It's like arguing what version of Star Trek is better. Or what's better, Star Wars or Star Trek? Who cares? You can enjoy them both, So finding things, but atheists do get a lot wrong about Christianity. It's true. But the problem is, though, the things that they get right, like the slavery and all these other things, the worst part. Sorry. Well, feel free to like, subscribe, or leave a comment or whatever. Thanks.